Now let's try to implement the functionality part. As of now, if I do not move these sliders, suppose I refresh this, these are appearing at this point, that is at 0, 0, 0. But as of now, the user might not be able to understand that these are sliders. So what we can do is we can set the value initially to some other value than 0. So as this is the maximum is 255, let me set it like 64, 128 and 255. So how we can do that? After this, I can specify $#red dot slider. Let me specify value to be 64 for the red slider. So initially the value will be 64. Let me save this and show you that. Let me refresh. See, now it is 64. Similarly for green and blue, let me set the values. So here for green, let me specify the value to be 128. And for blue, let me set the value to be 255. That is the maximum value. So these are the three values I am setting using the value property. Okay, let me refresh. See, now this is how our slider is now looking like. Next, what we need to do, we need to get the corresponding value of these three sliders when any of this slider value is changed, and that color should be displayed within this box, and that color code should be displayed here. So for that, let me write a function here and specify it as function change color. Okay, this is a function which will change the color as we want. So let me write it. This function is going to be called when the value is changed either using slide event or change event. Here the value is changed without changing the slider's handle, right? Here we are programmatically changing the value. So in that case, as well as when the user slides the slider, this function should be called. So how I can write it? I can put a comma. Let me enter and write slide is the event, and then I want to call the change color function. And also when the value is changed, then also this function should be called. So in both these cases, this function should be called. Hope you understand why I have written this for slide and change as well. When the user slides this, the value in the slider will be changed, and in that case as well the change color function should be called, and here as well the change color function should be called, because here we are actually changing the value without moving the slider. We are doing it programmatically. So in both these events, I am going to call the change color function. So within this, let me specify where red equals, what will be red? It will be $#red dot slider, and I want to get the value. So I can get it like this. Like this, I want to get it for green and blue. So let me copy it, paste, and let me name it as green and this as blue, and for this I want to get the value of green slider. So green, okay, and for this I want to get the value of blue slider. So now this red, green and blue will be values between 0 and 255. It could be 0, 1, 2 like that up to 255. So initially these values will be 64, 128 and 255, right? Now these values are ready. Actually the value should be specified either as a hexadecimal value or as a color name. So we cannot get the color name obviously. So what we need to do, using these values we need to get the hexadecimal value. So how we can do that? Let me specify another function and get it into a variable. So where color, let me specify the function name as convert to hex. So this function will convert these values, that is decimal numbers, into hexadecimal values. So what should be passed to this function? We need to pass the values red, green and blue, right? Then only it can be converted to hexadecimal corresponding value. So let's write our function convert to hex. This is the name of the function, and here let me access it like red. for R for red, G for green, and B for blue. So this will get these three values. Next, what we can do is we can convert these decimal numbers to hexadecimal values using toString method and passing 16 as its parameter. So let me create array variable called hex, and here within this let me specify r dot toString of 16. This will convert this corresponding decimal to hexadecimal. So this toString is a method offered by JavaScript, and if I specify 16 as the parameter, I can convert it into a hexadecimal corresponding value. Now this is the hexadecimal for red. Next, for G as well, I need to have the hexadecimal toString of 16, and also for blue dot toString of 16. So all these three numbers, red, green and blue, which are decimal numbers between 0 and 255, now will be converted to hexadecimal and stored in this hex array. So these are three different values as of now. Next, what we need to do, actually we have to concatenate these values, right? But suppose this is a one digit number. Suppose I convert 0 to hexadecimal, its corresponding is 0 itself. If the value of red is 1, its corresponding hexadecimal will also be 1. So actually we need to have a 6-digit value as the color, right? So each should be 2 digits. So what I am going to do is, if this is a 1-digit number, I am going to attach 0 to that. That is, if this hexadecimal value is 1, 2, 3 or 4, I am going to make them 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3 like that. So how we can do that? Let me run a loop $.each. Okay, and within this let me pass hex or the array as the first parameter and function as the second parameter. Okay, and within the function I'm going to do a check, and for this function I can have index and value. If you already know jQuery, you will be knowing each method. It is used to loop through an array, and the first parameter will be the array itself, and second one is the function, and for this the index and value will be there. So for this 0 will be index and the value will be the hexadecimal value of R, that is red. For this it will be 1 and the hexadecimal of green, and this will be 2, that is the index will be 2 and the value will be the hexadecimal value of the blue. Okay, now if, let me check, if value dot length means the number of characters, equals 1, what should I do? I am going to specify hex of index, that is the corresponding value, will now be, let me attach a 0 at the beginning, plus value. Hope you understand this. If the particular value is having only one character, I want to make it 2 characters. So I am attaching a 0 at the beginning and then the value. So all these three will be now 2 digits or 2 characters, hexadecimal values. Now after this, each method, all these three will be 2 characters. Next, what I need to do, let me specify return hex dot join using this one, so that there will be no gap and all the items in the arrays will be joined. Okay, and I also want to convert this to uppercase so that the color code will be in uppercase. So hex dot join, this means these items in the array will be joined without any space in between. So these are now 3 different values in the array. So if the values are 0, 1, 0, 2 and 0, 3, this will be 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, and all the characters in this will be converted to uppercase. So this is being returned by this function convert to hex. Next, what we need to do, we need to display the color in the paragraph and also display this box in that particular color. So let me remove this color from here because I can add it using jQuery. This I have added just to show the paragraph as we want. Okay, now what we need to do here, $P, let me enter it, $P will select the paragraph. Dot text, I want to make the text like color, then a hash, then the color code which we can get from this color variable. And also I want to set the background color of this box to be that particular color. Okay, so here let me access the box using its ID dot CSS, and within this what should I specify? I need to specify background. What should be set as the background? It should be hash plus color, so that it will be displayed in that particular color. Now let's see whether we are getting the output or not. Let me refresh. See, the color is now 4080 FF. Why it is so? Because this is set to be 64. The decimal value is 64 and its corresponding hexadecimal is 40. And this is 128 and its corresponding hexadecimal is 80. And this is 255 and its corresponding hexadecimal is FF. That is why it is displayed in this color. Suppose I change this slider to this. So now this is 4080, both remain the same, and this now became 32. That is the hexadecimal value and this is the color. Suppose I change this to this value. Now it is D0, 80 and 32. Suppose I move this here, it is FF 80 32, FF 32, FF, which is the color code for or the hexadecimal value for white. Suppose I change all the three to the left hand side, it will be black. See, 000000. Now it is the color black. So as and when we move the slider, the color will be different in this box. If I move towards this side, the color is getting changed. As and when I move any of these sliders, the color is getting changed. So this is how we have implemented our color picker. We have created a container with 3 div elements for sliders and one to display the color and one P element to display the color code. And what we have done here, within this we have made these 3 div elements 3 sliders, and we have specified range to be min and max to be 255 because we want to have the minimum to be 0 and maximum to be 255. And I am calling a function change color on slide and change events. So to display these sliders at different values, we have programmatically set the value for different sliders like 64, 128 and 255. And in the change color function, we have collected the values, that is the decimal values of red, green and blue sliders into red, green and blue variables, and we have passed it to a function called convert to hex. So here what we have done, we are converting the decimal values to their corresponding hexadecimal values using toString method, and we have to pass 16 as the parameter, and we have to make all these 3 values as 2 digits. So what we have done here, we have run a loop and checked the length of the character, and if the length is 1 means it is a 1 digit or 1 character. So to make it 2 characters, we have attached a 0 at the beginning, then the value. So the value will be the corresponding hexadecimal value. And finally we have joined these 3 values. This is a 2-digit character or number, 2-digit hexadecimal for green, 2-digit hexadecimal for blue, and we are concatenating them using join method and hex.join within. If we do not specify any space, it will be joined without any space, and to uppercase means all the characters will be converted to uppercase. And finally we are displaying that color code within the paragraph and setting the background of the box to be that particular color. So that is why we are seeing different colors when we move the sliders. So this color picker is implemented using jQueryUI's slider widget.